even at the end of the world, giraffes are still pretty darn cute. Greetings and welcome once again to Roman of the Empire. I am your host, Roman. Today we are talking about The Last of Us Episode 9, Look for the Light, which was this season's finale. It was a very decent episode. I would say pound for pound, I liked Episode 8 better, the previous episode. But this was a good episode. Again, we've talked about the visuals on the show, and they looked fantastic. The show has a great look to it. I might have had there's some pacing issues with the episode. It kind of just is. And there were some, what we would call classic blunders. And I don't know if those were in the game or not. But overall, the episode was good. Like I said, these are just kind of pick points that, why would they do that? Why would this character do that? But the story was still solid. There were a lot of difficult choices that had to be made in this episode, which is an overall theme with the show, and we've talked about that before. So this is going to be pretty quick, though. Not because the episode was weak, but just because of the way the episode was structured. So I will say that, again, it's a good episode, and this is the wrap-up. So if you've waited to watch the show thus far, I would say still give it a go. There are episodes you're not going to like, probably. That's the same with any series. But, I will say, though, the rewatch of this series is pretty low. It's good as a one view, and then you're done kind of thing, though. That I will say about The Last of Us. And yes, they are making a season 2, and we'll have to brace ourselves for that because we do know what's coming because of the game, and they said that they are going to follow that. And I think that they followed it, from my understanding, because I didn't play, pretty well. There have been some deviations, but that's the way it always is. So that being said, let's dive into this thing. This picks up with someone who looks and sounds a lot like Ellie, because she voiced her in the game, oddly enough. Ashley Johnson is the actress who plays Anna, who is Ellie's mom. She is running. She is very pregnant, and she is running, and she gets to a farmhouse and runs upstairs into a room, barricades the door, and then steels herself against the wall. And then, of course, her water breaks and an infected comes in. They're tussling. She shoves a switchblade into the critter's neck, but then the thing dies. She's given birth in this process, but she's admiring the baby. She also realized she got bit. And then she's holding the baby and she says, you tell them you give them effing hell, Ellie. So you realize this is Ellie's mom. And this is the birth of Ellie, and this is probably why Ellie is immune. Not terribly long later, Marlene, who you'll remember from episode 1, the leader of the Fireflies in Boston, shows up. She sees the body. She says, I gave birth to her before I got bit. Before I got bit. She's like making sure she understands this, even though it is a lie. Asks Marlene to kill her. They've known each other all their lives. This isn't a friendship after the apocalypse. This is a lifelong friendship. Marlene declines, but Anna gives her the switchblade and says, you got to do it. So she walks out with the baby, and then Anna's pleading with her. She changes her mind, and Marlene goes back in, tells him to cover the baby's ears, and shoots her. And that's Ellie's entry into the world. Now we're in modern day. Ellie's sitting on the back of a pickup truck, and she's got like the 1,000-yard stare going on. The events of the last episode were very traumatic for her. Joel pops out of a shop. He's found a can of Chef Boyardee and a Boggle game, which is a terrible game still. I'm not a fan of it. And he's trying to prod Ellie along, hey, I can teach you to play guitar. Would you like to do that? And she's pretty much silent. Now they're coming up on a construction site. They're making their way. Remember, Salt Lake City is where the hospital is that the Fireflies want to study Ellie. Ellie's just not talking. Just the way it is. She's kind of on task. So they need to climb up in again to go high ground to kind of get the view of things. As they go into this building, Ellie is lowering a ladder down for Joel, and she just kind of drops it on him. He's like, "Dude, what?" And he gets the ladder and follows her up. She's running up. And they look out, and this is one of those scenes from the game, as far as I understand, but it's still a beautiful scene in the show. There's just a giraffe head poking up over the thing, and he's munching on the greenery, which has overgrown the stadium, which is kind of where we are. And it's a nice scene. Ellie feeds the thing some leaves. They look out. There's a whole bunch of giraffes. It's a moment to settle. And in this moment, Joel tells Ellie that they don't have to go through with this. They can go back to Jackson, which they know is safe, and just live their lives. And Ellie says, after everything they've done, it should amount to something. They have to go all the way to the end. So she is resolved on this task, and after everything they've been through. So they're leaving, and they go through an abandoned, it's like an emergency medical camp, essentially. And Joel tells Ellie that he ended up on one of these, and she's like, "Oh, the guy who shot at you and missed, because he has the scar on his face." And that goes back several episodes, kind of a bad joke that Ellie made. And Joel says, well, he was the guy. He actually opens up about this. He was going to shoot himself after his daughter died, and he flinched, and he missed. And he's the guy who couldn't shoot straight. So now they're that's pretty intense, honestly. He is opening up then. Now you see Joel opening up, which is important, at this late stage in the game. Now Joel asked her to read from that terrible pun book, and they're joking and having kind of a conversation. This is one of the classic blunders that I talk about. They let their guard down, and in a situation where you should never be letting your guard down, and you see people coming up from behind them. You see a flashbang roll up. Boom. They're disoriented. Someone grabs Ellie, and someone knocks Joel out with the butt of their gun. Joel wakes up in a hospital bed with a Firefly logo above them. These were the Fireflies. And Marlene is there. Tells Joel, thank you for protecting Ellie, and that she's being prepped for surgery. Now, this is another blunder. Why did the Fireflies do it that way? Why didn't they know who they are, or at least who they suspect, and they could have had a way less confrontational meeting than that. But they didn't. They chose not to. So Joel's kind of in a state of mind already. So Marlene lets Joel know the cordyceps has been growing with Ellie since her birth. It's produced a chemical messenger. It thinks Ellie is one of them. So they just coexist, and that they're going to extract this messenger, reverse engineer it, and make a vaccine. Well, Joel's like, but cordyceps grows in the brain. Ellie's not going to make it through this. They're going to have to basically take her brain out. And he's like, get someone else. Get someone else. And Marlene's like, well, that's not an option. She's not going to be in any pain. That's not really comforting for Joel. Joel now becomes forceful. He wants to see her. He gets not hit by a guard. And Marlene's like, I've known Ellie since the day she was born. I understand this loss, but this is something we have to do. So Marlene gives Ellie's switchblade, Anna's switchblade, to Joel, tells the guard to take him out of the building and to kill him if he does anything. So he's being ushered out of the hospital. And you can see Joel just has this look. Because you've heard about, people were afraid of Joel. And they were afraid of him for a reason. So you expect what's coming. He stops. The guard's like, move. And he's like, which way? And he directs him the way. Then he stops again, swiftly knocks the guard down, disarms him, and shoots the other guard. Then shoots the first guard in the leg, saying, where is she? Dude won't tell him, so he kills him. And this next bit is glorious to watch. This was my favorite scene. he's just walking through the hospital, killing everybody, all the guards, and then picking up their weapons and then killing the rest of them until he finally gets to pediatric surgery, where Ellie's on a table. There are 3 doctors in the room. He says to unhook her. One of the guards grabs a scalpel. He shoots him, and the other 2 unhook her. And those are the only 2 that make it through this scene, which was just great. It was a lot of fun to watch. It feels like video game stuff, but it was still a lot of fun to watch. Now, Joel is taking her down. He has Ellie, and he's walking her. They're now in an underground garage. Marlene pops out, saying, she has a gun, of course, but she says, even after everything you've done, bring her back inside, and it can still all be okay. I think that's probably a bit optimistic, but now we flash. She has, I'm sorry. And she tells Joel that, he's not going to be able to protect her forever. Even if they leave, she's going to grow up in this horrible, horrible world, which by their actions now, they could save. I mean, not Ellie, but everybody else. So this is a choice. And Joel agrees, but he's like, it's not up to you, it's up to her. And she's like, well, what would she want to do? She would want to do the right thing. Wow. These are heavy moments. Now, Ellie, we were in the car with Joel and Ellie. The scene has passed. And Ellie is waking up, and Joel tells her the meds are wearing off. The Fireflies, ran their tests on her, but there are dozens like her, other people who are immune. But the doctors have, given up looking for a viable cure. It's just not working. So he's lying to the girl. Now we go back to the garage again. These scenes flash back and forth. Marlene lowers her gun, but then Joel shoots her. Back to the car again. Joel says that raiders attacked the hospital. A bunch of people were hurt. And Ellie asks about Marlene, and he doesn't answer. You just get the stone face. And then he's back to the garage. As he's putting Ellie in the car, Marlene is still alive. He shot her, but she's still alive. And she's pleading for him not to kill her. And he's like, you're just going to come for her. And boom, done. That's it. It wasn't cruel, but it was something that he felt he needed to do. And if you leave someone alive, that's what's going to happen. Yeah, they're going to continue to come for her. So now the car breaks down. They have to go on foot, and they're walking to Jackson. And Joel tells Ellie that he used to go on hikes with Sarah, opening up about his daughter, and that those 2 probably would have liked each other because they had complementary personalities. One has what the other lacks. And it was, again, opening up. He clearly cares for Ellie now. She is not cargo. Now, they're finally at the hill overlooking Jackson, and Ellie stops him and talks about Riley. Goes back to the episode 7 and says that when they got bit, they chose to ride it out into crazy, and that Riley found that, and that Ellie had to kill her. And then talking about the deaths of Sam and Tess, who these are the people they've lost along the way. And Joel says, well, we have to find something new to fight for now. And Ellie asks him if everything he said was true. And he's like, yes, lying. And she says, okay. Scene fades out. That's the end. Again, it was a good show. I liked it a lot. I just thought there was a lot of tough decisions that had to be made in this episode. And the classic blunders. Again, why did they should have never let Joel have access? That he should have been either killed or in prison. It sucks, but that's what they should have done. But it was a good closer to this season. I still have concerns about what's coming, but this was a good closer. I don't really have a lot to discuss about it. That's kind of it. So we'll leave it there. The show is done. It had a good conclusion. It had up and down episodes. But overall, I still enjoyed it. But rewatch, not so much. I don't expect that's going to happen. That's it. So I hope you enjoyed our discussions about this series. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this episode, and I'll see you around the interweb. This has been Roman of the Empire, signing off. Please like and subscribe because the channel does need it. Be kind.